Good day, everyone. I hope you're enjoying Next 21. Welcome to our session on extending Anthos to manage VM workloads in on-premises environments. I'm Jennifer Smith, Director of Product Management within Google Cloud Anthos. I'm also joined today by my colleague Amr, Senior Product Manager for Google Cloud Anthos. Amr, want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to share with you some of the cool things we've been working on over the last couple of months.
Thanks, Amr. We'll talk to you again soon. And like Amr said, we're really excited to share with you some of the recent work we've been doing to help enterprise customers further while they navigate their hybrid and multi cloud applications. I know virtual presentations and conferences have been our norm for longer than we all might have imagined. So we've constructed our session today as part talk and part do via a product demo. So let's get going. Customers are increasingly looking to modernize. Whether that modernization is in place, lift and shift, or via containerization. An overwhelming majority of enterprises have a hybrid and multi cloud strategy. Wanting to modernize with consistency across all environments isn't just a nicety, it's crucial. And yet, even with this increasing desire to modernize, only about 1/6 of enterprise workloads are containerized. That leaves many millions of non containerized VM based workloads still in the data center. How can we include these VMs in modernization efforts? We'll come back to that soon. Let me start by providing a brief overview of Anthos. Anthos is Google's hybrid and multi cloud platform, providing a consistent operating system for cloud native deployments across all site types, whether that's on premises, at the edge, or public cloud. It gives you all the tools you need for consistent operations, service and policy management so that you can build once and run anywhere. Starting with container management, it's a reliable and efficient way to deploy and run containers, leveraging our experience with Google Kubernetes Engine, the industry leading container management platform. On top of this sits the service management layer. It's a managed service mesh offering to connect, manage, and secure VMs and containers. This is based on Istio. And on top of that is the application development layer, comprising a wide selection of production ready development solutions and services from both Google and our partners, all available through the Google Cloud Marketplace. The layers are flanked on two sides by policy management, offering a central place to manage configuration and security policies across your fleet, using the power of Kubernetes along with GitOps to implement an infrastructure as code approach to your cloud native network. And on the other, by operations management, offering an integrated logging and monitoring service for containers, services, and applications. There were a few really important attributes we felt were essential to building this new platform to help customers with their hybrid and multi cloud applications. We wanted it to be open source, declarative in nature, developer friendly, and extensible. Because of this, we chose Kubernetes as the basis of our Anthos platform. And as we've been working with many Anthos customers on their modernization journeys, we've received some very important feedback. Customers have shared with us some of their key challenges with modernization, starting with the simple fact that there are many workloads that cannot be easily or immediately moved to containers or VMs in the cloud. They also have organizational skills and process gaps between cloud native and traditional operations. Their infra teams lack unified management, security, and monitoring for VMs and containers. And their dev teams are constrained in using modern application development techniques and tools with traditional VM workloads. Delving a little bit deeper, the root causes of these challenges are long multi step provisioning, fragmented observability, manual compliance enforcement, and an expensive proprietary ecosystem. So, what can we do? Currently, there are three cloud-centric and one on-premises option for modernizing existing VM applications. You can migrate virtual machines to Google Cloud VMs with Migrate for Compute Engine. You can lift and shift your entire virtualization stack with Google Cloud VMware Engine. You can migrate your VM workloads to containers on cloud with Migrate for GKE, or you could decide to modernize to containers on premises with Migrate for Anthos. We support all of these incremental VM modernization strategies. But our customers want another option. They want a way to leave apps in VMs until and if they can be migrated, while gaining the same benefits of running those VMs on Kubernetes and mapping those VMs using a consistent Kubernetes style approach to provisioning, configuration, monitoring and logging, security, and optimization. So today, we're adding a new on premises option. Leveraging Google's leadership in Kubernetes, you can modernize VM applications without needing to containerize or move to cloud right away. And you can do this now with Anthos for VMs. Anthos for VMs lets customers apply the expertise they are building in running and managing containers to their VM environments, to build bridges of automation between containers and VMs, and to reduce their spending on VM platforms and management tools. With this new option, we provide the flexibility of choice to modernize in a way that best meets your business needs. So, how does it actually come alive? We've created two adoption models, shiftable and attachable. In the shiftable case, VMs run on Anthos. In the attachable scenario, you manage other hypervisors' VMs with Anthos. You can choose between the two approaches or use them both simultaneously. You get unified management, declarative deployment, and policy enforcement for your VMs and your containers. You bring a cloud-like experience to your VMs and can leverage cloud-native services for your VM workloads. Moving to a bit of a deeper look at the technologies that enable the shiftable and the attachable approaches. First, we see the runtime layer with Anthos VM Runtime based on Kubevirt in the shiftable scenario. In the attachable track, we use VMware vSphere. Next, we have network security and policy via Anthos Service Mesh based on Istio. And moving up the stack, we have Kubernetes APIs and an Anthos config and policy management. At the top of the stack, we have cloud native capabilities and services such as patch management, databases, and AIML. So with Anthos for VMs, we help ease many of the modernization challenges our customers have shared with us. Using Kubernetes, we're able to provide fast, secure infrastructure provisioning, unified operational visibility, automated compliance, and cost reduction. I'm gonna pass it over to Amr now, ask him to come back and join us and help explain how we can get started and you can get started with Anthos for VMs and run us through what the demo will look like. Amr?
Thank you, Jennifer. So the first step is to do a fit assessment. This is a tool that actually understands your infrastructure and tries to understand what is the right migration or what is the right modernization journey for your application. It runs as a standalone tool, or you can run it on top of an existing Anthos cluster if you're an Anthos customer. And it does an assessment of the VM workloads, and it decides on a score that tells you what is the right journey, whether it's shiftable, you want to be able to be migrated to the Anthos VM runtime, it's attachable, connecting this VM to Anthos management layer, or if it's containerizable, whether this VM is containerizable or not. And if a VM has multiple options, it lays that out too. And there is a fit score that also gives you the effort. And if there is any delta that you need to address, for example, in order to move from one path to the other. From a workload perspective, you download the standalone tool, you connect to existing vCenter, it generates a local report that you optionally you can upload to the cloud for a detailed visualization or historical view. If you go to the next slide, please, this is how the fit assessment report looks like. It provides you data center-wide readiness, as I mentioned, actionable VM level suggestions, ROI analysis, and risk metrics to every migration. And now next, we have a demo, and we're very excited to show you that demo. We've been working on some of these technologies for a couple of months. So just to describe the demo, the first part of the demo talks about the discovery and fit assessment using the MFit tool that we just mentioned. And then we're going to showcase two scenarios of shiftable VM and attachable VM that have been migrated or attached. And then for day two, we're going to talk about management from cloud operations, Anthos configuration management, and Anthos service mesh. So with that, let's move on to the demo.
All right, we're now ready for a quick demo of Anthos for VMs. Here we see the Anthos landing page. This is the central interface where you can view your registered Anthos clusters, monitor your services with Anthos' service mesh, or manage legacy workloads with Anthos for VM's new VM management capabilities. The critically important first step when using Anthos for VMs is to run a fit assessment on your legacy VMware environment, determine which VMs can be easily containerized, shifted, or attached. Anthos for VM's fit assessment tooling quickly scans your VMware environment and collects application, hardware, networking, and storage metadata related to each VMware VM to systematically determine which category it belongs to. Once this assessment is completed, the results are displayed in a report that explains each recommendation in detail. Okay, now with that explanation out of the way, let's run a fit assessment and see the results. Here we've opened a terminal that has Anthos for VM's fit assessment tooling installed on it. After we run a single command and authenticate our VMware environment, we'll see the assessment tool start to rapidly scan through over 2,000 VMs, and then upload its results to the Google Cloud Console. Once a report has been generated, we see that we've assessed 2,077 VMs. 15 of them were categorized as being excellent candidates to attach to Anthos for VMs with an agent, and the rest were great candidates to be hosted on Kubernetes using Kubevirt. In particular, we see detailed results for 3 legacy VMs, a front-end, a back-end, and a transaction service. We'll examine a few of the results in more depth. And later on in the demo, we'll use Anthos for VMs to both shift and attach these legacy VMs to Anthos' modern Kubernetes-based control plane. Now open the result for legacy front-end service. We see that it has been categorized as shift candidate due to its Kubevirt compatible application profile. Open the result for the legacy transaction service. We see that it has been categorized in attached candidate due to the fact that it requires multiple network interfaces. Okay, now it's time to generate the migration artifacts that Anthos for VMs will use to take control of these legacy VMs. Here we see a migration job called Demo 1 is already underway. Clicking on Create Migration will show us the prompt that was used to create this job. By filling in just a few values, such as migration source, operating system type for the source VMs, and the desired output from migration, like containerize or convert to a Kubevirt VM, one can easily create a VM migration job. Examining our in-progress migration job more closely, we can see it is currently preparing some VM management artifacts. Switching back to the Google Cloud Console, we see an empty table. After clicking the refresh button, we see that our Anthos cluster now contains the new Kubevirt and Istio custom resources that are just created by Anthos Config Management. We navigate to the Workloads tab. We can see that the Kubernetes pods associated with the 2 legacy VMs that we shifted to Kubevirt are now running as well. Clicking on one of these workloads takes us to an overview page that shows real-time metrics and events. Clicking on the Operations button opens a side panel that displays tons of additional information, like granular metrics and logs specifically designed to assess application reliability. Next, we shift our focus to the Anthos for VMs service mesh. Here we see the entire service topology of our example application. Our example app generates client traffic that is sent to a modern containerized front-end service. This front-end service, in turn, sends requests to a few other modern APIs in our 3 shifted and attached legacy VMs. The front-end service is highly available. It sits behind a load balancer, which spreads traffic across 5 service replicas. Requests to the modern front-end, made to a few particular endpoints, are automatically routed to the legacy shifted front-end. Similarly, the modern front-end also routes a few specific API calls to the legacy shifted backend service. The legacy attached transaction service is called both by the shifted backend service and a number of other modern APIs. Double-clicking on the shifted backend service takes us to a detailed view of its local service topology, where we can see info on its current performance and resource utilization, and lots of other stuff. More importantly, now that our legacy VM is managed by Anthos, we can now use Anthos observability tooling to make the old app awesome. To demonstrate this, we're going to go ahead and create an SLO, aka a service level objective. First, we select an availability-based SLI. Here we'll set our compliance period to 1 week and our performance goal to 99.5% availability. Finally, we'll click Create. Next, we'll add an alert to our SLO. Here we'll just select all the default settings, and then add a short message. Awesome. We've just sprinkled some Google SRE magic on our legacy application. And now we've reached the end of our demo. We've seen how Anthos for VMs can be used to consistently manage legacy applications using Kubernetes awesomeness and slick Google tooling. Enjoy.
We hope you liked the demo. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jennifer to tell us how we can learn more about Anthos for VMs.
Thanks, Amr. Thanks for sharing how our customers can get started with Anthos for VMs. Like Amr said, we would love to work with you as well. Anthos for VMs is currently in preview, and we are working with a group of customers as our design partners. If you're interested in our preview or learning more, please contact us at this email. We would really love to talk some more. Thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of Next 21.